Hello, everybody, and welcome to the session where we will talk about building a business platform through data modernization. And speed has come across as a catchphrase as we have been discussing this. And one aspect of speed, David, you brought in terms of the speed of value to business and how, in fact, you are going about engaging business.
No, absolutely. Thank you. And I think a lot of your North Star sort of mesh here resonates very strongly with us. And I think one of the things that we've done to increase the speed is we've really focused on taking these vertical slices through all of the layers that are necessary to deliver some business value and trying to solve that for one particular group of users in the organization. Prove that they can answer questions more quickly, empower them to do that, and then continue to sort of build more and more vertical slices rather than building a big platform at the bottom and then gradually stacking things up on top of that. And I think certainly that's an area where the team at Mphasis and Datalytyx have been incredibly supportive to us, because they've really been able to bring with them a really good collection of technology enablers that means that getting to that first slice was a 6-week activity. It wasn't a traditional IT project of, well, let's build the foundation for a year and then we'll think about what to do with it. And I think that mindset shift to start with a single journey and to build all the layers all the way down and build it quickly and prove you have value and use that as justification to build a second slice all the way through has been a really revolutionary experience for the way that we're approaching these data-driven problems.
Thank you, David. You have just described what we call front to back very, very nicely. And while you are doing this, while you are delivering value to business quickly, the role of the technology organization itself is changing from delivery. And how do you see that evolving, David?
Yes, I think what that means is that we are as much coaches and partners for the organization as we are delivery agents for the organization. So the approach that we've been taking there is to really go out and sit down and work with the analysts and the business leaders and the engineers. We have a lot of operational data, so a lot of our data is really consumed by other engineering groups in the organization, other analyst groups in the organization, and they have a fantastic knowledge of what the data is. They don't necessarily have a fantastic knowledge of the data science principles or even the data engineering principles of how to get that data back out of the system. So, we've really been taking that in a coaching way to help those engineers to get the data out of the system for themselves and to fuse it together with other groups' data, rather than trying to take on a sort of central report writing function, because that just means that we become the single point of failure for people in the organization. I think the supply chain evolution that I'm seeing in our business is really one where the supply chain becomes bidirectional, where it's sort of related to the point you were making, Mohammed, about the data as the product, and we see that internal product being as valuable as any external product we might use. And I think for us, the sort of revolution is that the consumers of the data are also producers of the data, and so one day I am concerned about the provenance of the data that I am taking out of the platform, and then the very next day I am the supplier back in because I have synthesized a new and interesting data set, and I need to contribute that back so that other people in the company can use that. And we're seeing all sorts of interesting challenges around that of how to train people to be the suppliers, not just the consumers, how to describe their data and how to think about it with a product lens rather than just with an analyst lens. But we're also seeing that the speed with which people are able to make decisions because of that is rapidly increasing. And the reason we're seeing that is that people aren't solving the same problems over and over again. There are lots of things where aligning two different time series data sets needs to be done, because otherwise you can't make sense of this. But should every single analyst that wants to answer a question have to go and do that? No, what you hope is that the first analyst that does it figures it out, and they put that back into the mesh. They put that back into the community so that other people can use it and avoid having to resolve the same problem. So for us, it's really this combination of consumers are also producers. The supply chain becomes bidirectional, and that means that really lots of people have to think about their own data sets as products that they need to publish back for wider consumption in the organization.
I remember your passion around this, David, when you declared that PowerPoint is not enough.
That's absolutely right. That, if the end result of this is a PowerPoint slide, you haven't fed back into the system. And I think, for us, creating this culture where people are feeding back into the system is helping everybody to move a lot quicker than historically.
And David?
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on that, particularly with the domain knowledge. And one of the observations I have is that the platform capabilities are typically not the core competency of an organization. The domain knowledge is the core competency of the organization. Andy, you have people who know what to do with this data. They know what they're eventually trying to find the lever that determines whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. We have the deep engineering expertise that understand that these two things are just coincidence versus a correlation. And I think what we're also seeing is a change in how we do these hybrid models of delivery, and how we've worked with the Mphasis Datalytyx team to help infuse an internal team with extra capability, but empower our own domain knowledge rather than the typical sort of blanket outsourcing of this, where you're asking a third party to run your own business process for you. And of course, they don't know as much about the business process as you do. So I just want to sort of take a second to acknowledge the people reality of how to make all these processes work, and particularly how we work with the Mphasis Datalytics team on building a hybrid delivery model, which means we're enhancing our own domain experience rather than outsourcing the domain experience. And I think that has proved to be really successful in answering these questions more quickly, and making sure that the business feels it's building knowledge rather than giving it away, which is obviously vital in the way that we all see the value in the data that we're working with here.
Thank you, David. Thank you for ending this discussion with the most important ingredient, the people.